In post-war America, when optimism filled the air and the open road became a symbol of freedom, classic cars didn't just move people, they moved a nation forward. The years following World War II were marked by an explosion of creativity, ambition, and prosperity. Soldiers returned home, factories shifted from tanks to cars, and suddenly, owning a shiny new automobile wasn't just a luxury, it was the American dream on four wheels. Highways stretched endlessly across the land, connecting cities and small towns, fueling a new culture built on motion, music, and modernity. And at the heart of it all were the cars themselves, sleek, chrome-covered masterpieces that captured the spirit of an era. By the late 1940s and early 1950s, automakers like Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler embraced the design revolution. Streamlined fenders, wide grills, and tail fins turned cars into rolling works of art. These weren't just vehicles, they were statements of identity. A 1957 Chevy Bel Air or a Ford Thunderbird didn't just take you somewhere, it said something about who you are. Teenagers cruised down main streets with the radio blasting, while families packed up for road trips along newly built interstates. Motels, diners, and drive-ins flourished, creating what many now call the golden age of the American road. The automobile industry didn't just shape America's culture, it literally reshaped its landscape. The 1956 Federal Aid Highway Act built over 40,000 miles of interstate highways, revolutionizing travel and commerce. Suburbs grew as middle-class families left crowded cities for quiet neighborhoods connected by freeways. Gas stations became social landmarks, neon signs became beacons of adventure, and every curve of the road seemed to promise a story. The car was no longer just transportation, it was liberation. As the 1960s rolled in, performance and personality took center stage. This was the birth of the muscle car era, when raw horsepower ruled the road. The Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaro, and Dodge Charger became icons of rebellion and speed. Movies like Bullitt and songs like Born to Be Wild immortalized that energy, showing that a car could represent far more than metal and mechanics. It could represent you. People began to define themselves by what they drove. The road became a canvas for self-expression, and every car told the story of its driver's dreams. But as America sped forward, the road ahead wasn't always smooth. The oil crises of the 1970s forced drivers to rethink power and consumption. Suddenly, big engines gave way to compact, efficient cars. Japanese automakers like Toyota and Honda began to change the market, proving that reliability and efficiency could be just as desirable as raw muscle. Yet even as tastes evolved, the spirit of the classic car never truly faded. Collectors and enthusiasts kept that heritage alive, restoring vintage Mustangs, Corvettes, and Cadillacs, preserving a time when design and craftsmanship defined the American identity. By the 1980s and 1990s, nostalgia became part of the culture. Car shows, swap meets, and retro advertisements reignited passion for the past. Baby boomers, now adults, long to relive their youth behind the wheel of the cars they grew up with. At the same time, technology was quietly reshaping the road again, from fuel injection to digital dashboards. But even as cars became smarter, sleeker, and faster, something about the rumble of a carbureted V8 or the glint of polished chrome continued to tug at America's heart. Today, in the age of electric vehicles and self-driving innovation, the legacy of classic cars still defines what it means to drive in America. Shows like Jay Leno's Garage and events like Pebble Beach Concourse Delicants remind us that these cars aren't just relics, they're pieces of living history. Each one tells a story about where we've been, how we've dreamed, and what we've built. And even as we move toward cleaner, quieter roads, the DNA of those early machines lives on in every design, every curve, every burst of speed. Classic cars didn't just transform America's roads, they transformed America itself. They shaped how we travel, how we connect, and how we express ourselves. They turned the simple act of driving into an experience, a freedom, a statement. And though the engines may sound different today, the promise remains the same, that out there on an open stretch of road, the spirit of the classic cars still rides with us. Because no matter how far technology takes us, America will always have a piece of chrome in its soul and a road waiting to be conquered.